All right.
Cool.
Recording. All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for coming today. Thank you so much. My name is Barbara Bickham again. Not only am I the founder and CTO of Trail Ventures, we put companies on blockchain, but I'm also the managing partner of the Women's Innovation Fund Accelerator. So that's what's bringing this to you today. I want to thank Dom for coming in to talk about UI and UX for tech startups. I think this is a very important topic. In working in my capacity as a CTO and just as a developer for many years, an architect and designer of many systems, I think UI and UX is sometimes very misunderstood and very ignored, especially in the blockchain space. So Dom, I'm going to let you take it away, and I will kind of stop my video and
Can you see my screen right now? Like a perfectly.
It says presenter notes slide.
Present a note slide.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me stop sharing. Let me see.
There you go. All right, excellent. Thanks so much, Don.
Hey, hi. My name is Dominique Wu, and I'm the founder, CEO of Hummingbird State Design Studio. And today my topic is UX UI for tech startups. Okay, so today's topics, I will start with 1 minute intro about myself, and then I will start talking about why UX UI are so important. And UX UI, what's the difference between UX, user experience, and user interface? And later, I will start talking about my UX UI process. Then I will jump into some of the project that I've been working on. Then at the end, I will do the Q&A. Okay, so my name is Dominique Wu, and I've been working on UX UI projects for 11 years. I know I look young, but I'm not that young. Yeah, I've been working the projects for over 10 years. Then the most challenging project that I've been working on was called OPIC 360. And during that time, I got $500K budget to create like $500,000 to create a USA brand for a Chinese startup. Start from website, app, branding, marketing. I create the whole brand out of nothing, start from scratch. Yeah, and then during that time, I managed 11 people in USA in the morning while working with Chinese team, start from 6 p.m. and till the night. So that was a really crazy moment during my life for about 6 months. Yeah, pretty much working 24 hours, working between USA team and Chinese team. And my fun project, I really love like the project called Breaker. It's a app design for for the streaming video platform, similar to Netflix. But the difference is that they use crypto blockchain technology for the app to make sure each independent artist, they get paid each time the video or their art get played. So yeah, so I was the lead UX UI designer to create the whole user experience for them. And I like to create, I really enjoy the process, creating an interesting navigation system for the app. And the largest fundraise project, when I was in Agency 2.0, working as a lead designer there, I was the designer for Micro Drone 3.0 on Indiegogo. And they crowdfunded $3.5 million on Indiegogo. So that was the largest fundraising project. And during that time, I put a hummingbird on the ads, and the ads drove a lot of traffic to the campaign. And and because of that campaign, I got my green card, got my sponsorship. So I really appreciate the campaign. So that's why my agency, my studio is called Hummingbird Stay, just because of this campaign. Yeah, brought me some luck and some good stuff. Yeah, okay. So let's talk about why UX UI are so important. Okay, so first question, do you like to use this? You see like a lot of stuff everywhere, a lot of buttons everywhere and shiny and tell you to click me, click me. It's like a long time ago, like on Google, you kind of want to search something and you can see like everything in front of you, but you kind of don't know how to, how to sorting or like there's no hierarchy. You kind of don't know what to do, right? Or do you like to use this? It's just a simple Google bar and whatever inside your mind, you can just type and then you can see all the result, right? Those are kind of serving the same purpose, like all the search, you want to search something. One is display all the possibility in front of you. Sometimes if you have too many choice, you end up no choice. Or you want this, it's just like Google bar. You can talk, you can use your voice command and talk to the search engine, or you type whatever you want and it will show according to your needs. Yeah, so those are two different ways or two different psychology behind those two different designs. Okay, so this is a really interesting concept. It's called Norman's Door. It's in a book called The Design of Everyday Things by Don Norman. Okay, why this is a really famous design book, and it talks about the how good design and bad design, influence our daily life. For example, if you see this book cover, you see this, right? Do you know how to use it? Because once you pour, the hot water will, pour over your hand. Yeah, so how do you use this pot, right? It's not functional well, right? It's not designed well. So what's Norman's Door? I get the quote from the book. Doors, I can hear the reader saying, "You have trouble opening doors?" Yes, I push doors that are meant to be pulled. Pull doors that should be pushed, and walk into doors that neither pull or push but slide. Moreover, I see others having the same trouble, unnecessary troubles. So in the book, it talks about good good product design and bad product design. So and usually when users use the bad product, they usually feel it's their own fault. For example, if I open a door, if it is push but it's pull, it is pull but it's pushed, I always blame myself. Damn, why can I not, like, why this door is not open? I'm so stupid, I cannot even open the door. But usually the problem is the design, right? The design should be intuitive enough for people to know it's push or it's pull. So if you see this door, you kind of know that, oh, if there's no handle, it's probably push. If there's handle, it's probably pull, right? So if you use something and you don't even need to think about how to use it, then that's a good design. If you need to relearn how to use it, or it's kind of against your, everyday knowledge, basic knowledge, kind of against it, then that's bad design. Okay, if we apply this concept to the web design, then we can see what's good and what's bad. Okay, so what's good? So you see like the form, you write out a name, you write email, you have password, you retype and you click. It's so simple. You just from up and down and you finish it. And what's bad form? Okay, so what's your first name? John. Okay, then what's your email? Okay, like sometimes, you know, like a lot of different questions, they didn't group well. So you kind of like you start from like, oh, what's your first name? And your next question might be, what's your last name, right? But it's like, oh, what's your email? Okay. You switch something. And what's your email? And like your password, retype password. And then prefer model of contact. You know, like those are kind of like a jumping, the logic is start jumping, and you have to start from the left side to right side, come back and going forward. It's too many process and too many brand like jumping everywhere. So it's kind of like a bad form. It's not following like your the normal logic. Okay, so what's good design? Good design is responsive, and bad design is not responsive. Sometimes when we open like a really old like website, like 10 years ago, when we open website, we usually see those like a super small text if you open the website on your mobile device, on your smartphone. Yeah, so those might get people really frustrated, because how can you read those small texts, right? You probably need to zoom out, right? When you zoom out, you start getting lost. You couldn't see the big picture. But if it is responsive, then you can just like scrolling and you can see the whole text without like, you need to zoom in, to move left, and in order to click the navigation bar, you see the hamburger, you kind of know, yeah, you want to jump into another page. So yeah, so this is really important to make sure the user can get the best experience. Okay, so if you have a good product, that means your product will aesthetically appealing to your customer. And it's also consists with the branding mission. It's also easy to use, and your potential client will like to make purchase. It will have a first good impression, and later your customers will likely to come back. Okay, UX, UI, what's the difference? Okay, I would say that UX is like a chocolate cake recipe, and UI is like a chocolate cake. If you want to eat something like a final product, you eat like a chocolate cake. But if you want to make a chocolate cake, you need chocolate cake recipe in order to make it. Or you can say it's like a blueprint and a house, right? You want to have a blueprint first, then you build a house, right? But sometimes I listen to YC. I register a free account, and I know a lot of startups, they do something that like it's called lean startup. They do something, for example, like they launch something really fast, and then they get the user, and later on they go back to revise their user experience. I think that's also doable, because you need to get the user first, right? You need to get user, and you need to get feedback. So for me, UX UI is not linear, it's circle. Sometimes you do UI and you come back to UX, and you go to UI, you come back to US, and then the force of pushing this circle to roll is users' feedback, right? So it's not linear. It's not, oh, I did perfect 100% UX for 3 months, and then I jump to UI for another 3 months, and I kind of go to development for another 3 months. Then after probably a year, I launch, and it fell, right? So for me, it's more like it's a circle, and it helps each other. Without a good UI, you have a good UX, the stuff might look really like a crap, right? And if you have a really good UI, but you couldn't use, like the Norman door, you have a beautiful door, but nobody knows how to open it, right? So I think those two are kind of like in a circular way for a startup. Sometimes you need better UI. Sometimes you need UX. It's all according to the user's feedback. And UX is more like the skeleton, the strategy, the structure, and then all the thinking behind it. It's like a ice cube, like undersea, you couldn't see it. But as for UI, it's more visual part. It's like a layout, visual design, and branding. Yeah, so. And then those are the list of UX, UI words. For example, like UX, it relates to psychology, it relates to math, it relates to kind of like strategy, process, research, and then like journey map, empathy mapping, and accessibility, user research, user interview, user journey, user personas. Those are more like UX part, like strategy, thinking of like that part. And for the UI part, it's more like visual design, design system, grids, icon, typography, like app design, and then interaction design. So UI, I would say, is more visual, and UX is more how you plan the whole experience. So this is the time when I was doing OPIX 360. I did the UX design. So pretty much I bought a lot of different cards, and I started drawing different interface. And I put a lot of little stickers. And every time when because sometimes when you design interface, when you click the button, where you are going to lead somewhere, right? So if there's no dead end, because you need to go forward or either come back. So when designing the whole wireframe, you have to be careful. Sometimes when we do on the screen, it's hard to think spatially, like in the space. So usually what I like to do is to put on the floor, put on the table, or put on the wall, just to make sure that I cover make sure there's no dead end, right? So that's one part when I design UX. And then once you design the whole structure, you go to kind of make it pretty, then you have to do the user testing. For example, like we have some small like a MVP, and people start, like we get all our users, which was like a college student. We bought a bunch of Starbucks gift cards, and then we put all our branding, all our logo, and all our product for people to start testing use. So, and as for UX designer, you need to sit next to them and kind of not really telling them what to do, but trying to let them to figure out on their own. And we start recording the issues just by observing them. So yeah, those are the pictures I took like during the whole project for the UX part. For the UI part, it's more like, the design, right? The final design, according to the whole structure, how we make things looks pretty and looks user-friendly. Like the icon looks right, and then the button looks good. Yeah, so those are more like UI part. Okay, then I will talk about my UX UI process. Okay, so the first step, usually I had a lot of different clients. Some of them, they don't have, they got the budget, but they don't have the business going. For example, they don't have user, they start from scratch. Then this part, then we need to start understand the business, like figure out like the whole business structure. And then if my client has already have a business and had the users, then I still need to research about the whole like the current business, just to reevaluate again. Because I would because before, I remember one of my clients asked me like, hey, Dom, we've already done of all our research, you don't have to research again. And I asked my client that, are you satisfied with your current research? Because your current research leads to your current product. And maybe we have to evaluate or kind of like look up your current research again, just to make sure that we didn't miss anything. And we want to kind of get some new inspirations for your business so we can come up a better product compared to your current product. So I think research about the business is really essential for me. Either you have everything figured out or you haven't figured it out. But I think this part is really important. We need to know that whether your business can generate money or not, because without generating money, this business cannot exist for too long. It's just like a hobby, you know. It's a hobby. If you couldn't make any money, it's a hobby. But once you can start making money, it's a business. Yeah, so first we need to figure out the business part. And second part, we need to figure out the strategy part, which is persona, journey map. And I will start brainstorming the key insights, flow chart, and then the wireframe. And third part will be UI design. And then I will list out all the functions and prioritize the features and working with the developers. Then this part will be more like a prototype, doing user testing and start getting different revisions. I would say step 2, step 3, and step 4. Those are kind of like a circle. Yeah, so once you get some ideas, you can kind of figure out, and then you start doing design. And sometimes after you design, start developing, you need to start getting the user into this circle. So make sure that your stuff can kind of like get the best experience. So yeah, and at the end, product launch. But I wouldn't say that product launch is the final, because you always can make it better. So like step 2, step 3, step 4, I think even step 1, because sometimes, you know, different situation, for example, like coronavirus, change the way that the whole, you know, industry runs. Like I just saw news that Starbucks is going to re-innovate the whole systems, the whole ordering systems for coronavirus period, because we don't know how long this coronavirus, this weird time will last. But it's good to, you know, sometimes it's good to come back to your business structure and see the whole ecosystem and go back. So I wouldn't say this is a linear process, but I would say this is circular. And the force to propel this circular is the user. Okay, so step 1, diagnose. I usually ask my clients, like, what's your business? Who's your competitor? And what's your unique selling point? Okay, so I think this one is pretty like standard. Usually we download the business canvas online and then we start filling out those. If you can start filling out those and you have no problem of defining those, you can kind of see the big pictures of how your business runs and how to generate money, not just a hobby, but it can run on its own. Yeah, so this is the first one. And second one is SWOT, and see what's the strength of your business, what's the weakness, what's the opportunity, what's the threats. Yeah, once you kind of know yourself clearly, you start seeing your uniqueness and your opportunity. Yeah, and then you start setting like a smart goals. For example, like you can set like a long-term goal and short-term goal. Long-term goal maybe a few months, a year. Short-term goal maybe a week, a day. So you need to make it specific. You need to make it measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-based. Yeah. So yeah, the second part I will talk about my UX UI process. Yeah, And then I will ask you like, who's the user? What's their pain? What problem do you solve? Because if you wanna take people pay you, you wanna earn money out of other people's pocket. Yeah, so you have to solve people's problem. You need to know their pain and you need to solve problems. Okay, so this is called empathy map. You kind of imagine your user, you start thinking about what they think and what they feel, what they see, what they say and what they do, what they hear, and what's their pain, what do they want to get. And then this is persona. Persona means that, okay, once you kind of know your user, you start making some like archetype or some, you know, some group of people, and you make a fake persona. But this persona is representing those group of people. So for example, like this person is kind of representing someone like young, and then someone who like the young kid, but they are kind of extrovert. They want to show off, and they are really good at doing like internet stuff, or like they like to hang online. So yeah, so those are kind of like general overlook of your target audience. Then journey map. Journey map means that it's a experience map, a journey map or experience map. The most famous journey map or experience map is from Starbucks. Starbucks, they are really spend a lot of time research how their customers start from thinking about getting a coffee from their office or in their car to enter to the store, getting in the line, getting order, getting paid, getting sit, and getting their drink and start maybe work there. And later on they leave. Yeah, they walk out, and they after they walk out, they sit on their car and start reflecting the experience. It's like the overall experience. Like they start doing like all those like touch points, and then the top part will be like they draw a baseline. What's the good experience and what's the not so good experience? So they map out the whole journey of their customer, start from thinking about getting coffee to walk out from Starbucks, and all those actions they list under, and all those feelings, they feel good, they feel bad, they put on top. So they can pretty much see that, oh, so this part we can change, because you see like customer feel sad about this part. For example, like when we go to Starbucks, like before quarantine, we usually think that, oh, the line is so long. You see, it takes like at least 20 minutes to get your coffee, and you are waiting in line, and there's not enough personal space, right? So there are good things. For example, when you get in, you kind of listening to good music, you smell like a coffee, and you see all the good interior design, and there's like a free Wi-Fi. So those are a really good experience. But some bad experience might be like, oh, yeah, you wait so long, and then yeah, it's like yeah. So some good experience, some bad experience according to different journey inside customer visiting your store. So once you map everything out, you start seeing the opportunity of how you can make it better. So if you really want to see how journey map works, you can download, you just type Starbucks journey map or experience map. I think that is probably the best journey map I see right now. So you can take a look and maybe apply to your business. Yeah, and then after we figure out our user, after we kind of do the whole journey. Then we start brainstorming with the whole team. Because sometimes if we just brainstorming with just like, for example, like our designer, they have their brainstorming, and then developer, they have their like brainstorming, or like other part, they have their brainstorming. If they didn't communicate with each other, then it feels like a designer is kind of like living in their design dream bubble. You know, sometimes you need customer to tell them like, oh, this is a bad design, or developer tell designer that, oh, you know, this is not, like, I couldn't code this, or like this is not practical, or like as for coding part, what's practical, what's current code is, da, 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 da. So we need to get everyone on board and sit together and start brainstorm, like what's the most practical solutions for this. Yeah, so team brainstorm, and come up with some key insights. Then after we know what's the feature, we know who's the target audience, then what's the journey, then we can start thinking about either this is a website, or like a software, or an app. You can start mapping out like the key feature, but in a more structured way. For example, like you need to log in, you sign up. This is the flow chart I did for Breaker. So the user can sign up or log in, and when they sign up, it means that they are the first time user. They start watching the tutorial and they go home. And there are different sections, and each sections, there are different functions. And yeah, and some of them goes to the content player. So yeah, so those are the kind of screens and actions. So you kind of need to start labeling, or like sorting out like your key structure for or key functions for your app. And then once you figure out the whole structure, you need to start doing the low fidelity prototype, which means that you can draw the paper, use pen and paper, or you can use a lot of different wireframe softwares like Sketch or Figma or Adobe XD. You can start doing the digital or digital prototype, like low fidelity. And high fidelity. High fidelity means that it's like kind of like a really, really final UI, but there are a lot of things to improve. It's not really final, but it's already good enough for you to start seeing the whole design with the whole structure. So yeah, so those are the high fidelity design. Those are the high fidelity design I did for Breaker. Yeah, and then high fidelity prototype. Usually I would put everything in InVision, and then put some link. So, and InVision, it's really convenient. You can also send this prototype to your phone. So you can really see through your phone, or you can just type, just tap the InVision. So yeah, so this is a really good prototype. And sometimes we can use this for the internal communication. For example, you can show to the stakeholder, you can show to like your client, or you can use this for designers conversation or talking or demo to developer. So this is really important. And sometimes we send this to for the user testing. We send this, and then we also send like like Google form, ask them a bunch of questions. For example, like, do you think, like, what's bothering you? Or like, do you feel this version is better than which version? Yeah, you can ask a bunch of questions and get really good feedback just by using high fidelity prototype without any code. Yeah, so these are the user testing events. Yeah, those, so pretty much we use InVision or other fast prototyping, and we start letting user to start using it and find like the bugs or like something that we can revise. Yeah, and then product launch, yay. But you know, it's not final. You still need to go back and revise again and again to get the best experience. So I will show some like case studies, like my AR, VR website app. Yeah, so UX, UI, web, app, and AR, VR. So yeah, so I think great experience that can achieve business goal and compel with the compelling visual design that will make your brand has like a really unique brand voice. Yeah, so this is the one that I just launched, and I know there are a lot of problems. It's like I launched really fast, and I know there's a user, I'm happy, but I know there will be a lot of stuff to revise. For example, like some of the user asked me like, oh, how can I keep coming back, right? I play this one time and I don't want to play it again because I already know, and there's no reason for me to coming back. So this is the app that I designed, but I find out that there are a lot of problems. So I now have to go back to my UX and redesign, remap it. So I think the UX UI is not just linear, but it's circular according to the user's feedback. Okay, so yeah, that I just launched. And this one, I did UX UI for Tesla VR experience. And this is a concept app. I did the whole interface design for the VR experience. And it was featured in Tea Tech Tequila Pasadena event, yeah, last year. Okay, so yeah, this is another AR concept that I did for Tesla AR, and you can use voice command to open the door or start the engine. It's another really cool app that I did, the concept app for Tesla. Okay, this is it's an app called Breaker, and I was the lead UX UI designer, and the project was under Sweat and Heat. Yeah, you can see the UX UI part. Yeah, so those are the final UI. And this is Candytopia AR app. I did UX UI, and the project was under Augmentally. Yeah, this is the whole structure. Yeah, those are OPIX 360. It's a 360 camera that attached to your smartphone, and similar to Snapchat, but using the extra 360 camera, so you can create 360 picture or videos, and you can upload to Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. Yeah, so those are the UI design. And Travel Porter. Yeah, Travel Porter was the project that I know Barbara. Yeah, okay, so yeah, so those are the UX UI process I did for Travel Porter. You can see like the whole structure and the final product. Yeah, this is Firework Web Design. I was the UI designer working with their project manager, and then I come up with the whole UI. It's really simple because they want this official website to drive people to download their app. So on the website, you see like they don't even have the navigation bar because they only put all the like creators for partners, like a description page, on the sitemap, those like really under part, because they don't want people to click they want people to just hit the big button and download the app. So yeah, so different websites has different purposes. Yeah, okay, Q&A. Yeah, so.
All right, wow. Thanks, Dom. That was awesome.
Oh,
Wow.
really?
I learned a
Thank
couple
you.
of things.
Thank you.
Anyone have any questions for Dom before I ask a couple of questions? Please either type in the chat or unmute.
Yeah, unmute.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. It's
Hi.
Gonzalo. Hello again.
And follow.
Have one question related with all the meetings that we are doing, and mixing a little bit the subjects. How do you see the artificial intelligence role in the design for the future? Okay, do we need because I think in the design projects, AI cannot substitute the human, so it will be always something that the human has to do it. So you think this is true? Are you feel threat about artificial intelligence, or do you think that always you need a human to do the design and then a machine can do the coding?
Yeah, I think let me think about the question. Is that do you think AI can enhance human experience, like user experience, or it will be a threat to the overall experience we have for the product? Is that the right question?
Not really. It's
No.
regarding your job, okay? Because I think if I am not wrong, the design phase, the design work will be always from a human, and that artificial intelligence cannot do it by itself. Okay, and my question is if you agree with that. If you agree that you always it's something that you always have a human to do it.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, as for artificial intelligence, what I like is that they can collect data and they can kind of like calculate, evaluate all the the data and then make some decisions. But sometimes the problem about AI is that they will have some bias. For example, I remember I saw one article that some big company design an AI system to filter out the resume, and they find out they keep hiring the same types of person because those maybe a male and then a high social status, those engineers, they design the AI system, right, for filtering out those resumes. So they kind of put what they feel like it's important or it's must have into the AI system. So AI start filtering out those types of other people. So like a female or a minorities, they never get the job or they couldn't get the interview chance just because AI filtered them out. So AI has its own bias and AI doesn't have empathy, right? AI couldn't think that humans think. Sometimes, for example, for a machine, you can tell them what's right, what's wrong, but who knows what's really inside its thinking, right? For example, we put a dog in front of the AI, or we put a blue balloon in front of AI camera, and AI probably put oh, it's blue, it's a balloon, it's a dog. Maybe it's all those tags, but AI couldn't feel how people feel. For example, they couldn't feel sad, they couldn't feel happy. They don't know why things is doing that way, but they are programmed to kind of executing according to the engineer. So I think As for AI, I mean, as for design part, I think AI is kind of like a machine that helps us to do like the kind of like get the data and kind of help us to sort data, and we can see everything. For example, like Google Analytics or some other smart software or tools for designer to learn more about user pattern. I mean, I know there are a lot of scary movies or sci-fi movies that kind of like AI will outsmart human. And I kind of heard of some rumors that Google has already developed like some AI, and they start developing their own languages inside Google Lab. Yeah, I mean, that might be really scary. And Elon Musk was warning that, oh, AI will, if we keep doing that, we will, you know, that's really scary because AI is totally smarter than us. We are like in front of AI, super smart AI, we are like monkeys, right? So why should they care about our life, right? We are so low level. We are like animals. They are so smart, and they see things much clearer than us because we have emotion. So I think right now AI kind of serve us, but once they become out of control or too smart, we cannot control them. Then I think maybe it's good to integrate some robot in front of us, maybe put some chips inside our brain. So we kind of have AI, have human. I don't know. It's just out of box.
That sounds very scary, Dominique.
Become like a Cyberman.
All right. Okay. So
answer your question.
I think so. I think that was a good answer. You know, there's some hybrid, it's a hybrid usage. Like maybe the AI generates after you've created the design pieces, like they actually generate the pages and stuff like that. I mean, I think that was a good answer. Yeah. So, okay, I have a few questions in the chat, so I'm going to yell questions out in the chat. This is from Kevin. So his first set of questions is, what about focus groups, and do they have those internally for your workflow process? So when you're creating your process, do people use focus groups to help you kind of hone that process initially?
Yeah, I mean, as for process, for example, like Travel Porter, right? We have our current user, because Travel Porter is let me give you a short, like a brief of the company. Travel Porter is a fashion rental company for businesswomen to travel to different cities to having different events. So pretty much like an Airbnb, but for like a fashion rental business. So yeah, so as for that UX UI redesign, when we were doing the user testing, we have our focus group and we have our current user as our focus group. But I suggest that the owner to have another group which is not current, like which is not our user. For example, like people who are from other people who use other platform, or people who is our like the competitors user. They never heard of Travel Porter. They don't know anything about Travel Porter. It's good to have like a one focus group to keep working with you throughout the whole process, but it's also good to have some new fresh ideas. So the current focus group will help you to kind of like, because they know you so well, they know you're like before the 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, they see your growth and they kind of stay with you since forever. Sometimes it's really good to have someone who haven't seen any of your brand and give you some refresh, like some you know, some new ideas or some stuff that you never thought before. So I think it's good to have like a focusing group, for example, like focus on the current user or focus on like some types of user. But it's also good just to, you know, sometimes it's just really good to have someone with like a fresh eye to see it. But having a focus group is really important. And then having other people's idea outside of your focus group, it's kind of like giving you another way of seeing things. Yeah.
That's great. Thanks, Dom. Okay, this question is from Rick. Rick asks, do you find any challenges designing for XR compared to designing for 2D? This is a good question.
Yes, that's a really good question. Okay, so I really like this question because I study a lot since like 2 years ago, and I bought a lot of books about XR, how to design an interface for XR. First, XR, you have Z space, right? So your UI is not living on the screen anymore. It can live in the 3D space, right? For example, this product, this product, and maybe the UI can just like next to it, you know, next to it. It's never just like, you know, stay really static on the screen. So you need to put users in the space. So what's the, like, I read a book, it's called the VR book. It talks about how to design a future interface. First, you need to look up NUI, natural user interface. Natural user interface. What's natural user interface? Right now we use phone, right? We use our phone, and all the languages. For example, like a menu bar, we see like a hamburger. We are trained to know that is the navigation system, right? And we see the button, right? We are trained to know that is the button. When we click, it will jump to another page. But those are more like we are trained. Those are not natural, right? What's natural? Imagine we are just animals, you know, we are just monkeys. We don't know any civilization. We don't know three lines is a hamburger bar. We don't know like a menu. We don't know the button thing. We don't know like the interface thing, like the whole behavior. We don't know. Just think that you are just a monkey or you are just like a baby. You don't know anything about the world. Okay. So if you want something to come, you just like, hey, come. You don't like something, you just, right? If you like to know more about something, you just stare at something. Like if you want to eat an apple, you just stare at the apple for a long time. Yeah, so that's the natural interface. It means that if you stare at something, it means you are interested in knowing more about the project and the interface will unfold, right? So that's natural interface. And if you wanna, if you kind of like use your hand, move around things, then the interface will kind of like push back or push forward just because your hand. It's like a natural, it's like a baby. It's really intuitive. So that's the interface we are going to design. And in the book, it says that all the GUI is whatever we are doing right now, like the current UX UI design. It's more about a page, right? The structure, the logic, right? The home button and whatever, right? But as for NUI, it's more like just think about your user is a dog or is a monkey. It doesn't recognize any button, and it couldn't like forget about all the interface that we currently have. Just think like, for example, right now you see my background, I'm in the beach, right? So just think about a monkey in a beach, and you want that monkey to achieve something. And the monkey doesn't really know what's home button, what's menu, what's whatever. The monkey feel thirst. And the monkey say, I'm thirsty. And there's a water in front of the monkey. Yeah, and then if the monkey wants to see more about things, the monkey just stare at the things and the information just pop up. So just think that it's just like the instinct of a person that doesn't really know any interface. And you need to create or fulfill all the needs for it. So it's interesting because I read a book, and the book says that, okay, so right now the user, because we all know that for a lot of UX UI, we have to do the persona, we have to see the group, who is our target audience, right? But in NUI or in immersive technology design, the user is yourself. It's the human, right? So we have to, it's like you have to keep testing out. It's never be perfect, because UX is more like, oh, I draw a square and the interface laying out nicely on that piece of content, right? But NUI or like immersive technology is 360. There's no limit of square for all the interface to squeeze inside it. It's a 360 open area for you. So how you interact is the same as everyone to respond. So it's really interesting that the user actually is yourself. You know what's too close to you, what's too big to you, what's too far away to you from you. So in NUI, you are the only user. And it's interesting that everything will live in the 3D space. So it's really different from the current UX UI that we have. And then it will like really integrate with the voice command. For example, what's the easiest way to order a pizza? For example, you just say, oh, I want to order a pizza, right? You have a normal conversation and then things just get done, right? If you want to normal about stuff, you just stare longer, and the camera will detect your iris and then see that object. It means if you stare at something longer than usual, and you will see all the information laying out. And NUI will do according to your gesture. Yeah, for example, like this is like volume up, this volume down, and this is close. And this is the hand gesture for BMW. I think Benz or BMW. I think one of their model, you can, like when the driver driving car, and when their fingers do this gesture, and then the volume will turn up. And when they turn the opposite side circle, counterclockwise, then the volume will turn down. So, and then if you do this, all the music will, you turn off the music or turn off the program. So it's kind of like a really intuitive. You don't have to see which button you need to click. So I would say that I remember one of the article I read about future interface design is that if you are the current UX UI designer, it's better just to forget everything and then think yourself as a user, what's the most natural to you, and then do that. Because right now we haven't really defined how we design it. So everything is still open, and it's kind of like a pioneer to do it. So you need to use yourself as a really good example. What do you feel natural? What don't you feel natural? And just do it. Yeah, so that's my answer.
Awesome. That was great. That was great, Dom.
Thank you.
Okay, Kevin had another question, then I have a question. So Kevin's other question was, what are some good usability testing methods?
Like user testing methods.
Yeah,
I think
for usability, like, you know, how do you test like your UI and your UX kind of is working well?
yeah. First, user testing is great. And second, you have a lot of different softwares to measure. For example, I remember, Barbara, you show us like the website, right? Like the click. Yeah, people.
Writer? Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. What's the name of that website?
Oh, Ghost Inspector. Ghost Inspector.
Yeah, Ghost
That's
Inspector.
Ghost Inspector.
Yeah, yeah, and then some really good like a testing. For example, you can also follow up like there's accessibility, right? Like the guideline for it. You can kind of like pretty much examine, for example, like pretty much follow the kind of like the guideline. Because if your app can be accessed for anyone, it means your app is really easy to use. For example, you probably need to be careful of like the like, you know, some people have color blind, right? Just avoid putting those two buttons or two colors together, and then make sure like all your UI fits the accessibility, the guideline. I think that's really important. And second important is that you can having a lot of different softwares for testing purpose. For example, like InVision, you can kind of like mock up and then put on your phone. Usually we can put on our phone and start testing, and let the user testing and see whether the font is too big or too small, or does it have to like, is this hard to use, or some button will hide somewhere people couldn't see it, or for example, like before OPIX 360, we got one user testing event, and it was great because we got a lot of feedback. For example, when you if you want to do the kind of like put the camera attached to the USB of your phone, you have to flip your phone, right? But if we didn't tell them either on the app or on the kind of like a product instruction, we find out that people doesn't really know how to put the 360 camera attached to the phone because it's upside down. You need to first turn 180 and make your phone upside down. So your USB is here, and you can attach the 360 camera. So I think if you can get the real human, or you can get the focus group to do the testing, that's great, because you can get the real human interaction. But you can, if you cannot, you can at least having like some software like a Ghost Inspector or some other software helping you to detect users' behavior, and you can see those data and follow those data, and then you can revise and make a better user experience. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Dom, you had answered my question, which was about accessibility. So you had answered that in your question. So how do people, I mean, clearly we are, yes, this was an excellent presentation, Dom. Thank you so much for your time. How do people get in touch with you, Dom? Tell me that.
Okay. So this is my contact information. Yeah, if you wanna contact me, feel free to visit my website or write to me or connect me on LinkedIn. I think that's the easiest one because I post a lot every day, at least like a few, especially weekend. Yeah, and awesome. Then can follow me. Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Dom. Does anyone else have any other questions for Dom? Yes, this was an excellent presentation.
Thank you.
Thank
you
you
so much.
so much, Dom. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Yes.